Ashe, greetings, grand rising, a grand day and peace and goodwill to you all. Once again, my fellow natural native earthly humans. Yes, you, the earth's organic humans and soulful humans. You, my fellow humans with soul, the world over. Yes, you don't know that I am yours truly, I, the mystic philosopher. And may I say many thanks for stopping by and giving of your time to listen to another perspective with yours truly, I, the mystic philosopher. And welcome to this one, part 19, and the continuation of the great big black and white lie exposed. Now, if by chance you have not yet watched part 1 through to part 18, and hopefully in that consecutive order, I ask that you please do so before watching this part 19, or that you please do so at your earliest convenience. If at all you are seriously interested in getting the facts and the most truthful understanding, and overstanding of what I'm talking about in this series, I highly recommend that you please go back and watch from part 1 and through to the end. Now, for those of you who have been following this series thus far, and again, I thank you, or might have been listening to me speak on this topic elsewhere, and over the years, you will have no doubt came to the conclusion that I, the mystic philosopher, have made it my personal mission to expose this lie, and by extension, to expose these lies. Yes, the great big black and white lie exposed. And to have most of you, if not all of you, my people and others to whom it may concern, come to the knowledge of the proven truth, and to be enlightened to the destructive effects this lie, and by extension these lies, have had and are having on every aspect of our lives. And having come to the knowledge and the proven truth, you will then begin to redeem yourselves from the curses of being ignorant to this lie, and by extension for being ignorant to these lies. For as it has been written hundreds, if not thousands of years ago, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. My people perish because they lack knowledge. And as it is my custom, let me remind you of my main objectives, meaning the goals that I hope to have accomplished or to have achieved by the end of this series, and the messages and facts that I intend to successfully convey to you all, my very patient, astute, and tolerant viewers, listeners, independent thinkers, and truth seekers. And my objectives are now at least 9, and they are as follows. Number 1 is to show and prove to you all, my fellow highly melanin and highly carbon skin complexion, natural native earthly humans, why we should not and why we must not call ourselves black. Number 2 is to show and prove to you why we should not and why we must not pronounce upon ourselves black, or allow others to pronounce upon us the word black. Number 3 is to show and prove to you why we should not and why we must not identify with the word black, answer to the word black, or allow others to call, label, list, identify, name, and bestow on us black. For example, as a black people, a black community, a black business, a black nation, a black country, a black race of people, etc. And number 4, and by the same token, is to show and prove to you why we should not and why we must not call, label, list, identify, name, and bestow on Caucasians or anyone or any other melanin and carbon skin complexion deficient race of people, or if you prefer, any other pale skin, pinkish pale skin, or reddish pale, or reddish pink, you name it for that matter. We should not call a label, list, or call them white. Number 5 is to show and prove to you that the English word, more correctly, yes, the English word black is a curse word. It is a word that brings only bad luck, brings a bad omen, subjugation, humiliation, mental and physical enslavement, mistrust, harassment, injustice, hatred, and misfortune, and much, much more upon all those whom it has been called, cast, recast, and rebroadcast, etc. Number 6, to show and prove to you that the earth and her inhabitants are, that our Mother Earth and her natural inhabitants are under the spell and the curse of black and blackness. Number 7, to show and prove from the Caucasoid, imperialist, and colonizers' own dictionaries, namely the English dictionaries, that the people that have called the name, label, and list themselves as white people and are calling, naming, listing, and labeling themselves white are not at all white. It is to show and prove to you that nothing about them is at all white. In fact, it is also to show and prove to you that if or when most things, if not all things, are intelligently, honestly, seriously, meticulously, and sincerely considered, most of them, if not all of them, are black. It is show and prove to you that they are the real and true black ones, the real and true black people, and thus, and in accordance to their own English dictionaries, meaning and definitions of the word black, coupled with their works, coupled with their deeds, their actions, their present, their history, their past, and their track record, their carnage, their bloodbath and exploitations, etc., among all the native peoples of the earth with whom they have encountered, most of them, if not all of them, are the ones that should and must be called, labeled, listed, marked, profiled, and named black. I ask that you please stay tuned and pay very close attention to this point as I delve deeper and deeper into this topic. And it is also to show and prove that not all the people that are called, labeled, listed, and named black are indeed black. In other words, not all of us who are erroneously and otherwise called and named black are indeed black. But then again, that's a subject all by itself, have to be dealt with, so you get the full understanding, and overstanding of what I intend to say here, or what I mean here. Number 8 is to show and prove to you that this our current existence upon this planet is a game, and one in which we melanin, we carbon skin complexion people are being played like pawns on a chessboard. It's a game that is heavily stacked against us, and that in order to change the game in our favor, at least for it to be a little bit fair for us, we have to change the name black and all of its synonyms and euphemisms as well. More on that later. And number 9, it is to help awaken and enlighten you, my fellow highly enriched in melanin and highly enriched carbon skin complexion people, you, the Earth's organic humans and natural native earthly humans, to the fact that by you allowing yourselves to be called, named, labeled, marked, profiled, listed, etc., as black, And to have the word black pronounced, cast, broadcast, recast, and rebroadcast daily on you is also to voluntarily surrender your dignity, your integrity, and your self-respect. Yes, it is also to insult your own intelligence. And above all, it is to voluntarily surrender to the black spell and its sorcerers and practitioners. But then again, much more. I will have much more on this fact as I continue to delve deeper and deeper into this presentation and into this series. So please stay tuned. Now, for your information, the meaning and definition of the sixth, let's address the meaning and definition of number 6 of the word black, which is number 6 from the Winston Canadian Dictionary for Schools. Number 6 definition of meaning and definition of the word black, and it said black meaning dark skin as a Negro. Now I think that it is imperative that I spend some extra time on this number 6 because sadly there is a lot of very important information and fact that are easily or that has been easily overlooked by many people. There are a lot of facts about that definition that has been overlooked by many people and that I need to expose and expound upon and shed more light on. Black, meaning dark skin, as a Negro. Now, for your information, the word black is synonymous with the word dark and the word Negro, meaning they can be used and they are used interchangeably. The word black is English, they are English, and the word Negro is Spanish or Portuguese. However, the very important facts that I ask that you all, my patient listeners, please bear in mind are as follows. Important fact number 1, that they all, those are 3 words, black, Negro, and dark, that they all belong to the same one Caucasoid roots and Caucasian language family tree. Important fact number 2 is that they are not our words, or nor is this our language or mother tongue or that of our most honorable African ancestors. Please bear those facts in mind. Important fact number 3, the knowledge and the power of words, sounds, energy, frequency, vibrations, resonance, and names, etc., and the occult and metaphysical, spiritual and metaphysical science or sciences involved were and are extremely important to them in our ancestors. And they were not something that they took or would have taken for granted. Under no circumstances would they, our ancestors, knowingly, sensibly, and intentionally give, call, or name themselves, let alone give, call, or name their children any and any words or any and any names. Under no circumstances would they knowingly, sensibly, and intelligently and intentionally give, call, or name themselves, let alone give, call, or name their children meaningless words or meaningless names, let alone words and names that they know could or would pronounce bad luck and cast evil spells and curses on them. In fact, even to this day, as part of most, if not all, African cultures and native cultures, earthly native cultures and traditions, naming a newborn child is a very sacred thing. Within traditional ceremony, wherein traditional ceremonies and rituals are performed to this day. According to one African website that I visit called Pan-African.net, African naming ceremonies is a quintessential tradition. And I quote from the site: choosing a name for an African child is a sacred event, one of overwhelming importance. At the all-important African tradition of the naming ceremony, the newborn is introduced formally to his immediate and extended family, as well as to important members of the community, unquote. Here is another quote, this time from an article on the BBC, a same British website, bbc.com website, and it's titled Africa's Naming Tradition, 9 Ways to Name Your Child. Quote, traditional African names often have unique stories behind them. From the day or time a baby is born to the circumstances surrounding the birth, several factors influence the names parents choose for their children, unquote. Important fact number 4. Our most honorable ancestors did not call, label, name, list, mark, profile, or pronounce upon themselves the English words black, dark, or Spanish or Portuguese word, the Spanish or Portuguese word Negro, or any of their synonyms and euphemisms. However, the evidence has shown and proved, and will continue to show and prove, that it was their enemies, it was their haters, their oppressors, their enslavers, and human traffickers, and by extension, our enemies, oppressors, enslavers, and human traffickers, namely the imperialists and the colonizers, aka the Black Caucasians, and by extension, our enemies, their heirs and successors. It was and it is them that called, named, listed, labeled, marked, profiled, and pronounced curse, or the curse word black, upon us and upon them. But I will have much more to say on this point later in this presentation, so please stay tuned. And in this series, please stay tuned. Important fact number 5. It is just to remind you, all my fellow natural native earthly humans, you my fellow highly enriched melanin and carbon skin complexion humans, that A, the purpose of a language is to conceal, or if you prefer to hide, the secrets of the people to whom the language belongs. B, it is also to remind you that this is not our language or our mother tongue. These words are not our words. And that this is the imperialist and our colonizers' language, words, and mother tongue, meaning this is the British English, aka the Black Caucasian language and words, their words and their mother tongue. C, it is to remind you, if not inform you, of the fact that we were never taught their language. In fact, logic coupled with our activated common sense would affirm that if the purpose of a language is to hide the secrets of the owners of the language, then it would definitely not be in their interest or to their advantage for them to teach us their language and how to decode their secrets. However, what we were taught and are being taught is a bastardized version and bastardized versions of their English/British language. D, and from my perspective, the closest that we can or may ever get to learning and decoding their language and some of their secrets is by our frequent use of their various dictionaries coupled with logic and our activated common sense. And thus, from my perspective, coupled with my own personal experience, not just because we may see or hear someone, and especially some of our own highly melanin enriched and carbon skin complexion people speaking the colonizers and the black Caucasians languages. And in this particular case, the English or the British language. And they are sounding very impressive, very sharp and intelligent, enunciating and articulating words fluently, properly, and with British authority, etc. In fact, they might even be well systems educated by attending some of the system's best schools and some of their most prestigious tertiary institutions. However, the record and the evidence has shown and will continue to show that it still does not necessarily mean that they really know, understand, and understand the language and how to decode the secrets that are encoded in their words and in their language. The evidence has shown that some are able to mimic the owners very effectively, sometimes even far better than the natives of that language. Some of the same bold British people. But still they really don't know the language. And the evidence has shown and is showing that if they did, if at all they did, then they would not be naming, marking, listing, profiling, labeling, and calling themselves black or any of its synonyms or euphemisms. In fact, these are some of my own people that I, the mystic philosopher, got the most criticisms and opposition from over the years, and is still getting the most criticisms and opposition from even to this day for saying stop calling yourself black. But on that I will have much more to say later. Just stay tuned. For your information, the colonialists and imperialists, aka the black Caucasians, having studied us, their conquered subjects and victims, know that we humans have the natural tendency to trust and believe in our own people. So with that knowledge, what they do via their well orchestrated system of deception and enslavement is to educate, train, groom, and empower some of our peoples with enough knowledge so that they will sound like them and act like them, the colonial and imperial masters, so that they will go out or go forth and unsuspectingly or unsuspiciously represent them, the colonial and imperial masters, and by so doing convince their own people, or us their own people, to stay subjected, to stay humble, to stay obedient and submissive, and be good, hard-working laborers and loyal citizens. The evidence also shows that the imperialists and colonizers, via their system of deception and corruption and their continuous physical and mental enslavement, always choose, meaning they always mind-pick, hand-pick, and brain-pick their subjects and the brightest people from among us, and then educate, train, and groom them in their ways, by their standards and methods, to do what? To control us, be it in religion, politics, law, mass media, entertainment, etc. And then send them right back among us, their own people, to represent them, the imperialists and colonizers, who are the real devious masterminds, without most, if not all of them, knowing that it is That is what they are effectively doing. Servants of the masters controlling us, that they are being manipulated and used to maintain and prolong the imperialists and colonizers of colonialist systems, our system of enslavement, system of slavery and oppression. In summary, we are being colonized, enslaved, and oppressed at our own hands and by our own people. Have you ever noticed or wondered why, as soon as some of us, if not all of us, highly melanated people go through the colonialist and imperialist educational system and learning institutions and acquire a higher level or a higher degree of education and are certified by the system's hierarchy, have you ever noticed or wondered why, as soon as they have completed their studies, completed their education, that they immediately start mimic the conduct, the attitude and mannerism of our colonial masters and handlers? Have you ever noticed or wondered why? For example, they start thinking like them, talking like them, sounding like them, behaving like them, dressing like them, living like them, treating us like them, and sometimes treating us even worse than them, judging, criticizing, and putting down those of us that they now, in their system's elevated status, see as below them, less than them, see us as their inferior. They see us as less educated and less qualified than them. We can't speak like them, etc. For example, I personally know of couples that were once very happy and getting along fine with each other, and where the man, or rather the woman, sacrificed her life and career to elevate her husband, her partner, by helping send him back to school. And I also know of instances wherein the man sacrificed his life and elevated his wife by sending her back to university. And as soon as they completed their higher learning, they separated and later divorced, claiming incompatibility. In fact, trouble began long before they finished their studies. Have you ever noticed or have you ever wondered why? Have you ever noticed or wondered why, as soon as they are trained and can speak the language like their colonial and imperial masters and trainers, that they ended up becoming lawyers, judges, politicians, preachers, actors, entertainers, public speakers, radio and TV show hosts and personalities, and influencers, etc. Well, for your information, that is not by accident, or nor is it necessarily real and true progress or liberation for us as a people. But they were educated, trained, and groomed, and they are being educated, trained, and groomed, and then strategically positioned in the imperialist and colonizers' deceptive and oppressive system, aka the Black Caucasian system, to control us, their fellow men and women, and to keep us subjugate in our subjugated places, and thus maintaining the system's status quo. And that is quite unfortunate that some, if not all, are not much, some, if not all, are now much too educated to know what has been done to them, and consequently what they are doing to us. Regrettably as well, some of these our people that are placed in the system's positions of power and authority think that they are the one running things, and not knowing that they are the ones that are being used and run by the system. But much more on that later. Now, in the interest of time, let me wrap it up here. I've way past my time. 2-in-1 this is. In the meantime, please join me in part number 20. So stay tuned until then, where I will pick up right back where I'm leaving off here. So again, thanks for listening. Thanks for your time. And please stay tuned I'll join you in part 20. I'll pick up right from where I'm leaving off here. Thanks. Ashe, 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 I say. I'm the Mystic Philosopher.